it's Amy with Paper Moon Journals. I made these beautiful journal and all of this ephemera using a kit, Birdsong and Roses by Sweet Pea Curiosities. As part of her design team, she gave me this kit in for my July commitment. And then all I had to do was make something and share with it. I actually got it at the end of June and had been working on it for some time. So what I'm going to do is I felt like it was too full. So I'm going to just include as my free gift. I like to throw something in for free. Thanks to my big sale and all of the customers, I've run out of pre-made things to give as gifts. I used to have a thing made of pre-made cards and little saran packaging, so you could tell they were brand new, ready to use. Out of all those, yeah, not sure what I'm going to do about that. So maybe I'll throw in a beautiful pen with like a gem cap or something like that as a free gift. But for this one, we're going to include a big sack of extra ephemera. And then I made the big giant journal and then the smaller, what I would consider more usable companion journal. When I make a journal for myself, this is normally the size that I would make. It actually has 40 pages, even though it looks pretty flat. And I did put some pockets with ephemera in it, so there's places to take notes and things like that, but it's very flat. There's no lace. I didn't add glitter to anything. This is a very practical travel sized. I hope you'll actually use this one because that's what happens to me. If they're too pretty, if they're glittery, there's lace, there's, you know, vintage handkerchiefs and things like that in it, stenciling on the pages. It's too pretty and I won't use it. So what I did was I made this smaller one that's very usable. It's still very beautiful. I've inked all the edges, rounded all the corners. I included lots of ephemera. You could also use this to do page spreads in with a bag of extra ephemera. If you wanted, you could do collage, you could keep a diary, you could have one to keep and one to give, one to write in and one to, keep the way it came. So this is the companion journal that comes with it. And again, it is Sweet Pea Curiosities kit. I did include just a few bits of ephemera from other things. You can see the kit included more ephemera than we needed. And then it also had some wallpaper pages, which I printed on card to make the pockets. And then also there was a little TikTok video that I did on cutting those in half, essentially, and then gluing them in each half in half so that it's about 2.5 inches wide, fit into my tag top punch. I made some really beautiful tall tags to add to the kit and personalize it for the big journal. That way you'll see that. And then I still have that bucket full of ephemera that I made when I wasn't feeling well enough to work on journals, but I did feel well enough to cut and glue. So to anybody, everybody's going through something. So if that's something, it's so relaxing to print out the things, cut them out, glue them onto the backing that I've printed out, and then cut it out again. Especially if you're not feeling creative, maybe you're trying to warm up. That's a great way to warm up and get inspired. Watching videos is a great way to get inspired. So what I did was I printed the cover piece twice, and then I cut out the bird and glued it on to product packaging to lift it up. I added gold wax to the edges, lots and lots of glitter. Of course, those dimensional roses are from Graphic 45. I thought they matched the sari silk ribbon perfectly. And then I used a combination of butterflies and moths. Every once in a while, these things get tangled, the sari silk, when you try to untie the bow. So it's the first time on camera, I think, but it does happen. So it just kind of shows you they're not that hard to get apart. You just sit there and work it loose. So here's a look at some of the charms. There's a little kitty cat charm on there. They're enameled jewelry grade charms, lots of little butterflies, flowers. Okay, here's a quick peek. This is a fun one. It has lots of room where if you wanted to paste in photos that are framed in for photos or for your favorite sentiments. That's my thing. That's what I love is is positive affirmations, favorite quotes. I think I even put some of those in here. They can, so I did add a lot. I did add glitter. I had to dial it down a little because I was using more than a bottle of glitter. So this big one has 140 pages. The little one has 40 pages. So altogether 180 pages. And the kit had 72 pages. Oh, another thing I did. So there's one of the tags that I made out of printing the wallpaper sheets on card. I went into her flea market kit and her attic kit for some extra faux vintage ephemera. I love those pieces. There was 2 of those that came with the kit. Let's see, I also printed the wallpaper sheets on plain paper and then traced out an envelope shape. If you haven't seen before, sometimes I leave the envelopes unsealed so that you could actually use it as a writing space inside, or if you just want it as an envelope, you could glue it shut. When I use them as flip outs, I usually glue them shut. There's some tags. Those are actually Amity Bloom tags from my stash. So I used ephemera from the kit, and then I'm trying to use up a bunch of the ephemera from the stash that I make when I don't feel up to. Normally what I'd do is I'd pick a kit, I'd make the cover, I'd start the cover but keep it plain and not do the elaborate embellishments normally. Sometimes, like on this one, I did the elaborate embellishments earlier, and then they get a chance to make sure they're going to stay on there good. Like people are like, I don't know if I could use that. You know, it might damage the cover. The roses might come off. Well, I worked on almost the whole thing, you know, with the cover done and decorated. That just happens sometimes. I know I'm working on a beach themed journal now by Miles Beyond the Moon. I can't remember the name of the kit. But yeah, so I print out the kit, I do the cover, I print out all the pages, I sort them into signatures, I sew them in, you know, decorate the spine and the back cover. Round the corners, ink the edges would be the second step, then adding pockets. If there are fussy cuts, like a lot of Miles Beyond the Moon kits come with fussy cuts, then I'll, you know, sit and do all the fussy cuts and glue those in. So that's a little pocket piece that you could use to make a pocket to tuck ephemera in. And then when I back the ephemera, you can kind of decide. Sometimes it's just tea stained on one side, so it's less exciting. Sometimes I backed it on the wallpaper that I printed onto card. So you can decide which side is prettier. And then I added stenciling to the pages. There's one of those tall, narrow cards that I made using printing the wallpaper sheets on card. So pretty much if the page has a bird on it, it's probably been glittered up. The front and back page of the signatures I added glitter to. So there's a lot of glitter in here. But I could have glittered every page. Like that's something you could do with this project, would be just to get some Stickles glitter, that diamond glitter, or another one of the ones that look clearish. I can't think of what it's called, Stardust, something like that. They come in a twin pack from Amazon. Those kind of look good on everything, no matter what color your background is or what you put it on. That 3-pack that comes with gold, silver, and I think diamond, that would be really cool. Like you could go through and any of the pages that I hadn't added glitter to, you could go back and add glitter to, trace out the frames with the gold or the silver. You could kind of see what I had done and maybe use that as an example if you weren't sure um, on how to glitter those things up. I really like the Stickles glitter. Normally, if you just use glue and add glitter to something, that glitter gets everywhere. You never see the end of it. And then the item always has the glitter crumbling off and ending up on the fingers, hands, everywhere for whoever owns it. So the nice thing about the Stickles glitter is that it's already encased in the glue, so it can't escape. And then because of the shape of the bottle, you can trace it out onto what you want. But let me put on some pleasant music. You can watch this for some inspiration, some ideas if you've picked up the kit from Sweet Pea. I know she also has her digitals available in printed format from Amazon. And so that's another way you can have access to her digitals. Oh, I think I also use Springtime Memories, some ephemera from Springtime Memories. So that's the nice thing about the digitals. When you collect them, then you can mix and match them together. And the Sweet Pea stuff really mixes and matches really nicely. So let me put on some music. Enjoy watching it. Thanks so much for checking it out. It is July 2nd. I'm still having a sale at my store, I think through July 4th, something like that. I just made it a 1-week sale, as I knew I had a couple more journals coming out. If the new items listed don't show up on sale, just message me. I've had some of my regular customers do that. I just change the price and they buy it right away. And then, then they get it. The other thing would be they could buy it and then, say, hey, this wasn't discounted. It just depends on how I set up the sale. Sometimes when I add new products, they don't end up covered under the sale, although that's not the intention, to have the sale and exclude the new things. So if you wanted it and needed the discount, just message me and let me know. I try to price it when I'm having a sale, knowing that it won't go on sale. I try to price it kind of low already. I think in the shop it's already listed, it's available for sale. Again, and the shop is having a sale. I only do that a couple times a year. Usually it's 20% off. That's what it is now. Once a year, I'll have like a 25% off. I did that earlier this month. That was a huge blessing. I know I mentioned before that I have some health things. I have a lot of specialists that I won't be seeing for months. But for now, my doctor said I'm stable. So that's good news. And I'm really thankful for that. And unfortunately, I can't expect that to last. I hope that it will. Um, but just, I'm just undergoing a long-term treatment for something. And like many people are, everybody has something. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty. But I don't know. I just fear there might be a point where I just won't feel good enough to do this anymore. So I kind of feel like while I do, I need to get as much done and out into the world as I can. So when that day comes, if I can't anymore, then I will have done everything I could. I will have lived my dream, lived every day to its fullest up to that point, because this is really my passion. I think healing thoughts while I'm working on them, calm and my positive affirmations I'm repeating in my head, and this is really like healing and restorative for me. It goes an alarm for me. So I better put that music on, go up, take my medication, and hope you all have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for checking it out, and I'll put a link to my Etsy shop.